Ladies and gentlemen, the fantasy football season is around the corner. The time to start preparing is right now. This season, there are only two outcomes: win championships or crash out. For those of you that just want to have fun and say that fantasy football is just a game, for that I say, bye-bye, see ya. This channel is for winners, not casuals. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean. I've worked in the NFL and college football for the greatest university of all time. And my sole mission is to help you win championships. For this video, I've studied all the quarterbacks via film and numbers, and I've identified 5 quarterbacks that are underrated at their current price. So let's lock in. Number 1, J.J. McCarthy. His head coach, Kevin O'Connell, has coached 4 straight years of top 6 passing offenses. J.J. McCarthy has arguably a top 5 supporting cast in the NFL next year. If his offensive line is able to stay healthy, some of them missed time last year with their different injuries, but if they're able to stay healthy, this is easily a top 10 offensive line for pass blocking. His weapons are arguably top 5 in the NFL between Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, even Jalen Nailor and Aaron Jones out of the backfield. That group could easily be top 5. Now, some of the weapons have picked up injuries in training camp. Jordan Addison has a potential pending suspension. But overall, the talent with a little bit of risk is one of the best the league has to offer. JJ himself was a top 10 pick last year in one of the best QB classes, potentially of all time, for a reason. JJ also showed the ability to scramble in Michigan. Often they would run read options and call his number to run in their undefeated national championship team in 2023. JJ showed arm talent as a prospect to get players involved at all 3 levels, short, medium, and long, which makes him an excellent fit for this offense where Sam Darnold, who was a journeyman in this league before he played under KOC last year, led the National Football League in fantasy points from throws where he held the ball for 2.5 seconds or longer. That's considered good protection for a throw. It helps to have a great offensive line, and they appear to have one here in Minnesota. And Sam Darnold himself was 15th in PFF grade on those throws, so there is potential for JJ to even build upon that and do better than what Sam Darnold did. The one caveat, in addition to some of the injuries and Addison's suspension, would be that the Minnesota defense projects to be pretty good, so that can limit some of the volume for J.J. McCarthy in this offense. But overall, at QB 19, I think it's a total steal. Number 2, Caleb Williams. He goes QB 14 across the different platforms. Caleb receives arguably the biggest coaching upgrade from year 1 to year 2 in the National Football League. They added Colson Loveland and Luther Burden with their first 2 picks in the draft. They traded for Joe Thuney and project to be the top 10 to 12 offensive line for pass blocking. In addition to a great setup and new coaching, Caleb also scrambles a lot. He had, I believe, 480 yards last year. He was top 10 both in designed runs and scrambles. Vegas projects him to hit over 400 yards yet again this year, which is crucial for fantasy football. Caleb underperformed his expected touchdowns, which were 2.5. I believe he had 0 last year, and that could regress positively in his favor. We don't have evidence that he's necessarily bad at the goal line. In addition, the Bears have DeAndre Swift, who's one of the better receiving backs out of the backfield. They have Rome Odunze, who was a top 10 pick. DJ Moore, who absolutely cooked with Justin Fields. Cole Kmet is one of the better tight ends at the catch point. And they lack a dominant goal line back, so that could signal a high passing rate around the goal line, which is how Joe Burrow was so good last year, where Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they had so many inside the 5 and end zone targets that they were amazing values, and that was amazing value for Burrow as well. Caleb did have his struggles in year 1, especially when there was extended time when he was holding the ball for over 2.5 seconds. He'd either have sacks or throw the ball into dangerous places or miss open guys. And I believe that coaching and development can help with this. I think his rushing can give him a very safe floor. And there are enough weapons for him to win pretty easily and on creative plays, screens, easy routes and completions. And I think he'll be fine because he has such a great setup around him. And this Bears defense, historically a monsters of the midway type of defense, project to be about league average. So there's opportunity to have a higher pace under Ben Johnson, who led offenses that were top 5 with Jared Goff. Number 3, Drake May. He goes QB 18 across the different season-long platforms. He had one of the worst supporting casts in the National Football League last year. His offensive line was bottom 2 in the league in terms of pass blocking last year. They upgraded the offensive line, including drafting Will Campbell top 5 overall in the draft. The line projects to be around league average in terms of pass block, which would be huge for Drake May compared to what he had to deal with in his rookie season. The team also added Stephon Diggs, Trevion Henderson, and Kyle Williams to actually give him some weapons and give him a chance to win in the air. Drake May can run as well. He's projected over 400 rushing yards, according to Vegas, which would put him within the top 10 in terms of rushing output. In addition, his build could be useful at the goal line. The team doesn't have a dominant goal line back. Ramondre Stevenson's the best option that they have, which means that Drake May could be the option at the goal line. And rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks, as you see with Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, are huge for fantasy point output. It is a hot take, but it is statistically true. Drake May and Bo Nix actually had a lot of statistical similarities in their rookie season. They had the same PFF grade and fantasy points for dropback on throws under 2.5 seconds, aka quick throws. However, the difference was Bo Nix absolutely cooked on plays behind the best pass blocking offensive line in the National Football League in Denver. And he had an extra second in terms of time to sack. And from that, he was able to take advantage and find different options on these extended plays. And that's what made him a top 10 fantasy quarterback and made Drake May an afterthought. With a better offensive line, better weapons, and more development, and a new coaching staff, I think Drake May could be easily what Bo Nix is right now, and potentially better. He was drafted ahead of him for a reason. Number 4, Jordan Love. He goes QB 16 across the different season-long platforms. He played through a knee injury last year that he sustained during the Brazil game against the Eagles. In 2023, Jordan Love could actually run. He was top 5 in rush yards over expectation among quarterbacks, and nothing close to that in 2024. In 2023, he performed above expected touchdowns for rushing, and not in 2024. This offensive line is built to pass block, not necessarily run block. This is a top 5 pass blocking line, and probably bottom 10 in terms of run blocking. When I see services that give one score for an offensive line, and they can't even distinguish between pass block and run block, I start crashing out. I knew that shit in NFL Fever 99, that there's a difference in those different skill sets among the offensive linemen. Jordan Love last year easily led the NFL in terms of yards lost and fantasy points lost from drops in his receivers. Dontavian Wicks, who is absolutely garbage at football, actually led this team in expected fantasy points, which is a measure of usage in key areas of the field and in total targets, air yards, etc. And now those targets will go from Dontavian Wicks, who sucks at football, to people who are actually pretty good at football. They drafted Matthew Golden in the first round. Tucker Kraft broke out in terms of being one of the better tight ends in the NFL. especially in terms of yards after the catch. Josh Jacobs is one of the better receiving running backs in terms of yards after the catch. Matt LaFleur is one of the top coaching minds, and he is able to scheme guys open. He made Malik Willis look like a fantasy football stud during the times that he was playing in this lineup. It's just a situation where Jordan Love used to be able to run. He has better receivers. If Christian Watson comes back at a reasonable time, that's even a bigger smash. And in addition, Jordan Love was affected on these extended plays where in 2023, he was third in fantasy points on these extended plays, which is holding the ball more than 2.5 seconds. And he went down to 15th. And I think the knee has something to do with that, where you're extending the play, you're moving around, you're making these variable throws at different angles, and it requires your body to move around, and he's out of rhythm. And this defense, losing Jair Alexander, among others, is supposed to be worse than average. So he could be one of the top quarterbacks in terms of usage and attempts. And this spells victory for the people who decide to pick him in fantasy football. So Jordan Love, QB 16. It hurts me as a Bears fan to say that, but I like him in price. Number 5, Geno Smith. He goes QB 24 across the different season-long platforms. He got traded from Seattle to Las Vegas. He goes from one of the worst offensive lines in football to about a league average offensive line in terms of pass blocking, led by Colton Miller, who just got a big extension. He gets Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, Jacoby Myers, along with Jack Besh and Thornton in the draft. Say about even, but I'll give the edge to the Raiders because Brock Bowers is just so goated at the tight end position. He's even underrated right now. Geno Smith across the different PFF grades in scenarios is basically top 10, no matter how you slice it. Play action, not play action, screen, not screen, quick throws, extended throws. He was top 10 in PFF on extended plays, top 10 overall. Geno Smith was 4th in passing yards last year. Very easy to forget over there in Seattle. And a key stat, shout out fantasy points, is that Geno is top 5 among all quarterbacks in points per game in games played in a dome. And now that he's a Raider, and including their road schedule, he gets 12 games in a dome, where he's top 5 in the league at the position. Geno Smith was also 4th in throws, in yards on throws under 10 yards. So also is good for Brock Bowers. He's 7th in deep yards. Geno also runs a little bit. He's top 15 in scramble yards. He could eke out a few touchdowns. This offensive line in terms of run blocking is, again, around league average. And this defense is supposed to be bad, like really bad. So that spells pretty good for pace, the dome. Supporting cast is, a little bit of an upgrade. The line is much better. So Geno at QB 24 is insane to me. So to summarize, the QBs are J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jordan Love, and Geno Smith. All super underrated if you can't get one of the elite quarterbacks. Preseason is upon us. The road to winning championships is one day at a time. Excited to bring you more videos just like this. I'm on X at FarshiFF. Subscribe, like, comment here on YouTube. I'll be grinding my face off for more content like this. Different positions, strategy, underdog, all that fun stuff. Might even throw a Patreon down. We'll see. But thanks for tuning in. Hopefully your team kicks some ass. And by hopefully, I mean get ready to celebrate when it does kick some ass. So thanks for watching, and peace.